Hey everybody, NegroVMX here, and welcome back to another 10 matches of Pokemon Showdown. And hey, this is the first video that I'm recording with my new blue snowball mic that Peyton got me, so hope it sounds good. So anyway, let's get this started with this first match versus Jameso Rocco 123. What an odd name and what an odd icon they chose. Like, what is this? Alright, so anyway, they have a Blastoise lead, and I'm starting off with Genesect. I get an attack raise from my download ability. Blastoise is going to Mega Evolve immediately. I go for E-Speed. I don't really have any other options against this thing. He goes for Scald, and immediately, and I mean immediately, gets the burn, so that's assy. I decided to try to go for Ice Beam. Maybe I would get a freeze. It does like no damage anyway. He went for an Ice Beam as well. I don't know why he swapped to Ice Beam instead of Scald. It's not like you can freeze me now. So I decided to try Bug Buzz because it's like nothing's really doing any damage and I might as well get that stab. And that's really going to help me because now there's one more Bug Buzz and it's going to take him down to just 4% health. So I wish I would have done that instead of the Ice Beam there. But I got this Blastoise down to almost nothing, so all I gotta do is Revenge Kill it, so I chose Heracross for that. And we're gonna immediately Mega Evolve into Mega Heracross. Unfortunately, I do get outsped, so they're gonna get the Scald off, but thankfully, no burn that time. Rock Blast is gonna immediately take the Blastoise down. So their next Pokemon is Aerodactyl, which is interesting. They're immediately going to go for Stone Edge, which thankfully does not get a critical. I'm going to go for Rock Blast. Of course, Rock really doesn't resist itself, so that's super effective on Aerodactyl, and that's easily going to take him down. This, of course, Mega Heracross has the Skill Link ability, so it's going to be 5 hits each time. So Venomoth comes in and is going to be able to Revenge Kill me with Sludge Bomb. Mega Heracross, not the fastest Pokemon out there. So I sent in Gigalith. That's going to kick up the Sandstream right away, and they're going to swap over to Amoonguss. So I had gone for Stone Edge. It does really good damage against Amoonguss, so I'm pretty happy with that. I absolutely know that there's going to be a Grass-type move coming at me, so I decided to swap over to Porygon Z. So they actually went for Spore to put me to sleep, which is not what I expected. I expected something like Giga Drain or something like that. That's why I didn't want to keep my Gigalith in there. So I decided to stay in with the Porygon Z and just wait, for it to wake up and do something. And now they're doing Giga Drain. So I don't know why they went for Spore there. Maybe they anticipated the swap. That's probably what it is. So I do wake up, and I get an Ice Beam off. That's going to kill Amoonguss. No problem there. So doing pretty good here. Not a bad start to a battle at all. So their next Pokemon is Trevenant, which I'm not too worried about that. It is part Grass type, so the Ice Beam is going to do just heaps of damage. They're going to Leech Seed me, which is probably an unfortunate choice because, it is going to force me to swap eventually, but there's no way they're going to survive another Ice Beam. But then they swap over to Genesect. So this Genesect's going to get an attack boost right away. I had gone for Ice Beam against the Trevenant. The Genesect's going to take it and get frozen. So unfortunately, I didn't survive the Leech Seed there, but the Genesect is frozen. It's 3v3. I'm feeling pretty good about this. So I sent in Seismitoad. They're staying in with the Genesect, hoping to thaw themselves out. I set up the Rain Dance to make myself faster and go for Hydro Pump. It's going to take off a huge chunk of their health, just almost all of it there. That was 79.9% health. So the second Hydro Pump is going to take down the frozen Genesect. No problem there. Bapu Beepy's done. So Trevenant's going to come back out. I'm going to go for Sludge Wave. It doesn't do the greatest damage. Ghost resists poison, so it's neutral. Unfortunately, they get the Horn Leech off, and that's actually going to give him more health back than I did with Sludge Wave, but there's not really much else I could do there, and Horn Leech was powered up by the rain. So I sent in Frostlass, and they're going to immediately swap over to Venomoth. So there, Venomoth's going to take the Ice Beam. It does good damage. I'm not really mad about that. The rain is going to stop there, and I decided to go for the Taunt because I don't really want to be put to sleep or any other kind of crap, or let them set up. So they had gone for Quiver Dance, so that was a good taunt there. That worked out really nicely. So I'm going to continue with Ice Beam because it's the really the best option there. They're going to go for Bug Buzz. Even though I resist it, that does a lot of damage, but thankfully the Cursed Body activates right away. They're not going to be able to do Bug Buzz again. So the next Ice Beam is going to take him down at just a little bit of health. I kind of figured they might swap, but they actually went for Sludge Bomb instead, and they actually poisoned me, which, that kind of sucks. So the taunt ends, and I know they're not going to set up at this point, so it really doesn't matter. I go ahead for the Ice Beam to finish off Venomoth. Their last Pokemon is Trevenant. my Frostlass is poison here, but I'm hoping to at least get off one Ice Beam and take him out, hopefully. So the Ice Beam is going to take him down to just a little bit of health. They're going to get off the Shadow Claw and take me out. My last Pokemon is, of course, the Gigalith, and I'm a little worried about this because, Trevenant is Grass type and, faster, obviously. So I'm, anticipating a Horn Leech. He's going to get a lot of health back there. I went for Stone Miss, and I missed. So that's pretty much game there. There's absolutely nothing I can do here because they're just going to do Horn Leech again. They're going to take off most of my health. The only reason I lived was because of the leftovers I was holding. I do get the Stone Edge off a second time, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough, not by a long shot. So the third Horn Leech is going to take me down, but that was a good game. Really down to the wire there. It really came down to Stone Miss there. So this next battle is versus Thundy, another odd name for another odd fellow. So they're starting off with Chimecho, which is, not the worst thing. Chimecho is pretty terrible. I start off with Yanmega. They're immediately going to swap over to Roserade, which is a weird choice because Yanmega, it's almost always going to just do Air Slash right away. That's going to take off most of Roserade's health. And plus, you don't want to swap with Yanmega because you're letting it get those speed boosts. So then they swap again to Giratina Origin form. Of course, I do pretty good damage, and I get another speed boost. So I'm like, okay, let's just continue with this. So the second Air Slash is going to just take him down to less than a third of his health, and I get the flinch, and my speed is just sky high there. They do have Shadow Sneak, but it's not enough damage to really make any kind of difference there. It kind of helps a little bit because I am getting chipped away by my Life Orb, but this Yanmega, what a great start to the battle. So then they send Chimecho back in. I actually went for U-turn here because I knew it would do a lot of damage, and I thought maybe I'll save the Yanmega for later, and I figured they would go for a Psychic-type move, so I brought in Darkrai to be a safe swap-in. Dark Pulse is easily going to take the Chimecho down. I can't brag about taking Chimecho down. Chimecho is just terrible. So then they send in Wailord. I know that they're going to do, Water Spout, so I try to do some damage with Sludge Bomb. Nothing wants to swap into Wailord at full health. I get another Dark Pulse out. There's no point in trying to save my Darkrai. I just want to do as much damage to this Wailord as I can so that its Water Spout is crippled and a Pokemon like, say, Go-Goat stands a much better choice. So I know he can't really do any damage to me now at the health he's at, so I went for Bulk Up. Water Spout is just doing absolute donkeys at this point, so I decided to just go for another Bulk Up. So my attack and defense are doubled at this point, and that's just, like I said, it's doing nothing. I actually did a little more that time. So I'm going to get a lot of health back from Horn Leech there, and that's going to take down the Wailord. And I need to get health back because I'm running Life Orb on this Go-Goat. So Roserade comes in. Obviously, Poison type is kind of a threat here, but my defense is really high, and I just went for Earthquake. That's going to take him down. Go-Goat is in danger of going down to his Life Orb fairly soon, but they only have 2 more Pokemon. I have 5. Unpheasant comes out. I know that there's nothing I can do. Do I decide to swap over to Mobble to take the Flying type move that I figure is coming and actually wound up being Return, which is just as well. They get a critical, though, so that kind of sucks. Plus, Mawile gets the Intimidate off. I Mega Evolve into Mega Mawile, and they went for Hypnosis, so that's going to put me to sleep. That just sucks. So now they're going for Tailwind to make themselves faster, which is kind of silly because Mawile is like one of the slowest Pokemon out there. The next Return isn't going to do anything, mostly because they didn't get a critical hit that time. I'm going to go for Knock Off. That's going to get rid of their Scope Lens. That kind of explains the critical hit earlier. They go ahead and put me back to sleep. So it's like, okay, I see what they're doing. So I gotta appreciate what this person's doing. They're staying in the game. They're not rage quitting. They're not giving up easily. They're, even with 2 Pokemon left, they're dedicated to trying to win. So the Tailwind goes away, so I decided to bring Crobat in because I figured they would renew the Tailwind and I would get a fairly safe swap in. They went for Return. It does good damage. I decided to go for Super Fang just to get them within striking distance here because Crobat doesn't have really amazing options against Unpheasant in this case. So they went for Return again. I went for Brave Bird that time. I knew the Brave Bird wasn't going to kill the first time. Unpheasant's pretty bulky in regular defense. Physical defense, that is. So their last Pokemon is Druddigon, which still looks like a Paper Mario character to me. So Druddigon's got Fire Punch. It doesn't kill me, but then it burns me. I get off the Super Fang to take off half his health, but I know I'm going to go down to the burn here, even with the Black Sludge. that just like keeps me around for one more turn, and they decided to forfeit there, which I really wish they would have continued because I kind of appreciated their moxie. So this next battle is versus Zane886 again. He's got a Swalot lead on this one, and I got Lipard. So this is just amazing. So I went to go behind a substitute right away just to scope him out, see what he does. He goes for Sludge Bomb. So I know this thing's pretty dangerous. Swalot is annoying. I decided to try to Dark Pulse flinch him. The second Sludge Bomb is going to take me down to a real danger zone, but I don't really have any other good options. I don't want to swap, so I went for another Dark Pulse. He swaps over to Earthquake, which I think he thought that I was going to swap there to save the Lipard. I was not interested in that. So I actually get a critical on the next Dark Pulse, and he finally takes me down with Sludge Bomb. But I can't feel too mad about the way that turned out. Lipard did a lot more than I thought he was. So I sent in Wizcash to get the revenge kill. Chose Waterfall there just because it's a really reliable move. So he sends in Bibarel. I know what's coming, so I decide to swap over to Sigilif. So he goes for Return, which is about what I figured. That's going to take off a lot of my health. I get burned from the Flame Orb because that's what I was doing. I went to Psycho Shift to shift the burn over to Bibarel and heal myself. He goes for the second Return. It is going to kill me, but hey, I burned him. So I'm down 2 Pokemon here, but his Bibarel is not super useful now. It is a physical attacker. So I send in Oricorio Sensu form, and he swaps over to Raikou. I had gone for Hurricane, so that turned out to be a safe swap because it missed. I swapped over to Hippowdon to kick up the Sandstream, and I figure he's definitely going to swap here, expecting Earthquake or Earth Power or something, so I'm obviously not going to do those moves. So he actually swaps back over to Bibarel, and I had actually gone for Toxic, which sucks because it's already burned, so that didn't work out for me. Didn't really work out for him either, but So Wizcash is who I'm going to swap to now. So he goes for Liquidation. It does just dick. There's nothing this thing can do to me. It's eventually going to go down to the burn, but it's kind of annoying me. So then he swaps over to Swellow. Swellow's kind of frightening. I had gone for Stone Edge. That would have been amazing. That would have bodied Swellow. Unfortunately, it missed because, come on. And he's like, please stop switching. So then he says, please stop switching, and then he sends in Bibarel, and I missed the Stone Edge again. What is life even? What is going on here? I can't hit him with anything. So, Return does okay damage considering its burn. I finally get a Stone Edge off. That's going to take him down to red health. And along with the burn, he's not long for this world, but this Bibarel definitely stuck around a lot longer than I would have liked. I finally get him out of there now. But holy shit, I feel like I'm working towards everything here. So Azelf comes out and is going to get the Psyshock off to revenge kill my Wizcash. I see it's running a Life Orb there. So it's like, shit. So I send Oricorio Sensu form back out. They went for knockoff. Oh, crap, that's going to get rid of my Life Orb and most of my whole shit. I went for Revelation Dance. That's thankfully going to just body Azelf. So that's good. Revelation Dance, of course, the type it is depends on which form of Oricorio it is, so it was a ghost type move in that case. So Swellow comes back in. I send in Hippowdon. He's going to go for Facade. That does really, really good damage, and I'm like, I really need to hit this thing with a Stone Miss because it's just, But unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. He gets the second Facade off, and Hippowdon goes down. So I still have the Oricorio Sensu form and one other Pokemon. He's got Raikou. He's got the Burn Swallow, and he's got one other. So my last Pokemon is Terrakion, and he goes for Protect, obviously, to just see what I have. I had gone for Close Combat because I really didn't have any good options. Swallow resists that. But the Burn is doing its job. The Sandstream's doing its job. He went for Facade. Terrakion, of course, resists that, but it's doing really good damage. I finally get the Close Combat off. It is neutral damage. And, it's not completely resisted, because it's flying normal type. So I finally get rid of the Swallow. So then in comes Torkoal, and, this is where Zane says, I got nothing, which I always say you're lying, because sometimes he says I got nothing, and then he wins. So Torkoal goes ahead and gets the Shell Smash with the White Herbat. I don't know why he didn't just attack me. My defense and special defense are just really low right now. I'm not a fan of Torkoal at this moment in time because I had gotten bodied by a Torkoal earlier in the day, and he gets off the Earth Power to take me out. He probably should have attacked earlier, though. He would be doing much better with health. My last Pokemon is the Oricorio Sensu form. I get the Revelation Dance off. That's no problem. But I'm pretty much done here because Raikou is faster than Oricorio. So he goes for Thunderbolt. That's going to end the game. So just, great job there, Zane. So here's another Zane 886 battle we're going to show. And he starts off with Silvally in its fighting type form. And I start off with 2 cannons. So this is really great. He immediately goes for multi-attack, which, that does a lot. But I went for Rock Blast. It doesn't do the damage I'm looking for. I mean, I figured it would do better than that. Even though it's resisted, I thought I would get some damage off on that. So that just sucks. So I decided to set up the Beak Blast. He swaps over to Raichu. So it's like, okay, I just basically gave him a free swap. But the Beak Blast does okay damage. It would have done a lot better if he would have hit me. So obviously I don't want to stick around for Raichu. So I swap over to Roserade to take the electric move. But he was smart. He went for the nasty plot, and he's going to start with Hidden Power. I'm guessing probably ground. So I'm like, I don't want to deal with this thing. I decided to put it to sleep because I can't kill it quickly. Raichu's very quickly there, very quick Pokemon. I went for Synthesis to get some of my health back. I'm expecting him to swap, but we'll see. He does wake up there. Unfortunately, he wakes up and gets off another Hidden Power. Like I said, it could be ground, it could be ice. I'm not sure which one it is. So, unfortunately, it was a very fast nap for Raichu. So I sent in Turtonator. That's going to, the Hidden Power is not really doing, so it's definitely not Hidden Power Ground. It was probably Hidden Power Ice. So I get off an Earthquake. That's going to kill Raichu, but man, that thing did a lot. So he's got Aromatisse, and I'm kind of banking on the fact that, Zane doesn't really know much about Psychic type, Fairy types. So I swapped over to Magearna to take the Moon Blast, and I went for Iron Head. That's going to do a lot of damage there. Just really bodied the hell out of him. He sets up a light screen, but Iron Head is physical, so I'm not super worried about that. Of course, then he goes for Protect, and he's got leftovers, so he's going to just rack up a little bit more health. So he definitely can take another Iron Head. So then he swaps into Silvally. Of course, Silvally, I kind of figured he might, so I went for Aura Sphere because it can't miss. It does okay damage. Then I swap over to Turtonator, so this is just, crazy. Also, by the way, some really weird movesets. For example, my Magearna had Fleur Cannon, which you never see. That's just weird. So I get a Fire Blast off on the Silvally. The light screen is going to protect him from dying, but he does get burned, so that's pretty cool. So really, Turtonator's really being the MVP right now. He swaps back over to Aromatisse. The light screen is no longer around. I get off an Earthquake. That was actually aimed at Silvally, but it does okay damage. Fire Blast is absolutely going to take down the Aromatisse. I figured that he was going to set up the light screen again. So he's got Persian in the Alolan form. I decided to swap back over to Magearna, figuring that he might go for Fake Out or something. He actually went for Power Gem, so that worked out really, really well for me. And then he goes for Hypnosis. So I'm like, oh, we're doing this with the Sleepy because he had a really fast snap earlier. So I swapped over to my Samurott. He gets off a Nasty Plot. I think he knew that I would swap, or maybe he just figured it was a safe thing because I was sleeping. He tries to put the Samurott to sleep, which is not a good idea because you can't have more than one Pokemon asleep in Pokemon Showdown. Sacred Sword does not the damage I'm really looking for, too. And he goes for Dark Pulse. The second Sacred Sword, it does a little better. Actually, it's about the same, to be honest. So I'm kind of butt mad that I can't really do much to this. I decided to Aqua Jet to finish it off, and it lives on probably a single hit point, and he actually killed me with Power Gem. I'm really salty about that, so that just sucked. So I bring Magearna back out, figuring the Persian can't actually do anything, but then he starts setting up again, and I'm like, okay, I need to wake up and kill this thing fast before it gets, times 4 special attack and just sweeps my whole team. It looks like he's not going for times 4. He goes for Dark Pulse. So I wake up, finally get off a Fleur Cannon, and it's going to take Persian down. Fleur Cannon, of course, has extremely diminished returns. It brings you down 2 stages on a special attack, but then the ability Soul Heart brings me up 1 stage. Silvally Steel Fighting type, comes in, does Flame Charge. I'm going to go for Iron Head on it. Unfortunately, it's outspeeding me. I figured even if I get just chip damage, the burn would take him out, but then he lives on nothing. So apparently we can't do much to each other, but thankfully I had more health, so the Silvally goes down. So he's got 2 Pokemon that I'm unaware of. The first one turns out to be Virizion. I still have 2 Cannon, Magearna, Turtonator, and 1 other. So he goes behind the sub right away. I had gone for Fleur Cannon because the Soul Heart brought my special attack all the way back up there. He goes for Close Combat. Because I missed, that's going to take me down. So that just kind of sucks. I'm actually kind of glad I missed that, though, because then his defense and special defense are down. So I sent in my last Pokemon, which is the Mega Alakazam. He actually was expecting the Toucan. I go for Psyshock to fade the sub, and then he goes for Giga Drain, which does respectable damage, but this is a matchup that is just, destined to go my way, and I think he knows that, so he swapped over to Vikavolt to take the Psyshock, although that does really good damage to Vikavolt, so I swapped over to Shadow Ball, really not knowing what he was going to do. He goes for Bug Buzz. That's going to easily take me out. That's a much better matchup. But considering, how good Vikavolt is against Alakazam, I did pretty good there with the damage. So I sent in Turtonator. He does survive the Bug Buzz, but unfortunately not by much. I get the Dragon Tail off. That's going to kill him. My special defense is like dick now. Virizion comes in, gets off a Hidden Power. I don't know which Hidden Power it is, but he's done. So it comes down to my Toucannon versus his Virizion. I love when they come down in the wire. I set up the Beak Blast. He goes for Hidden Power. I'm thinking Hidden Power Rock, probably. That makes sense for Virizion. The Beak Blast is going to body his Virizion, and that's game. So, like I said, I'm always impressed by how much Zane improves day by day. He's at the point where he's almost better than I am. So it's always a lot of fun to play against him. So here's another one versus Zane. How many of these do I have? Okay, that's the last one versus Zane, at least for now. So he starts off with a Rotom Frost in this one, and I start off with Lugia. So this is interesting. It's not the greatest matchup for me, but then again, Rotom Frost doesn't have, I figure he's going to use Ice Beam, so I decided to swap over to Beware. He actually went for Will-O-Wisp, which really sucks because Beware is an incredibly physical Pokemon, and I did not think that Rotom Frost would have Will-O-Wisp, so that was a really good kind of sneaky move there. So I had gone for Hammer Arm. That probably would have killed him, or at least taken him down to red health had I not been burned. But, I figure we might as well just keep the Beware in now and just have him do as much damage as he probably can, because what the shit, So he swaps over to Mothim. Okay, I see how it is. So we're swapping over to Mothim. So, obviously he's trying to just get me to wait out the burn or something. I swap back to Lugia because I kind of think I know what's going to happen here. So he actually goes for Quiver Dance. This is a little too slow. Let me speed it up a little there. I kind of figured he would go for Quiver Dance and I would get a free swap. And Bug Buzz is neutral against Lugia because it is flying type. I go for the Dragon Tail, so long to your Quiver Dance. So Jolteon comes out. This is not who I was looking for. I was not looking for Jolteon, so I decided to swap over to Venusaur because I know, well, he's going to go for Thunderbolt or Thunder. So that's going to, he's going to take that really well. I'm going to Mega Evolve into Real Trees here. He's got Signal Beam, which is one of the better moves to use against the Mega Venusaur, but thankfully it's not going to be that much of a problem. So I decided to just commit to Sludge Bomb. He brings out Skarmory. That's a pretty safe swap up, but I figured he might swap, so I went for Knockoff because I was like, he's going to have a Steel type or something. So Skarmory I'm a little afraid of because I figure it has like a Brave Bird or something. I put it to sleep, so he can't do that. I have Hidden Power. I think that's Hidden Power Ice. He does wake up, unfortunately, and go for the Brave Bird right there. So that was another really, really short nap for Zane. He's got a lot of luck with those. So I bring out Slowbro. He goes for Roost, which just kind of sucks because I have that Skarmory down to almost nothing. This Slowbro has Ice Beam, but he's not, he's getting way, way more from Roost than I can do with Ice Beam. I decided to go for Fire Blast because that is at least super effective. And of course I miss. So he gets the Whirlwind off. That's going to force my Beware back out. But that's like, the Beware is kind of doomed and useless anyway. So I went for Ice Punch. It doesn't do good damage. He gets off Stealth Rock. So I see what he's going to do. He's like going to Stealth Rock and then just keep using Whirlwind to rack up the Stealth Rock's damage. I go for another Ice Punch. Just hoping to freeze him. This Skarmory is a real, real problem for me. I really don't know how I'm going to get around it other than, a freeze or something. So I'm just continually using Ice Punch. He goes for Brave Bird there. That's going to finally take the Beware down. So, like I said, I got a real Skarmory problem. So I send the Slowbro back in because I'm thinking, well, maybe I can get a Fire Blast off. I actually hit that time. Thank fuck. And he goes down. So that worked out. So anyway, Jolteon comes back in, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to get hit here. So I just let it happen. Thunderbolt is just going to absolutely body slow, bro. This Jolteon is running a Life Orb. I didn't stand a chance. So I sent in Steelix. I could have swapped the Steelix, but I decided not to. So he swaps over to Rotom Frost, and that's good because I used Toxic, and I really wanted to poison this thing from the very beginning anyway. So there you go. He goes for Will-O-Wisp. That's going to burn my Steelix, which just really sucks. But Rock Slide, he's just going to live that because of the burn, but the Toxic damage is going to take him out there. So that Rotom Frost, that was just a pain in the ass. I feel like I'm ice skating uphill. So here comes the Swampert. No way this is a Mega, right? So I swap over to Lantern, and I actually have a plan for this because you think, well, Lantern, Electric type, what are you doing? Unfortunately, he goes for Earthquake. See, I actually had Giga Drain on that Lantern. It would have completely destroyed Swampert, but yeah, that sucked. So I bring Lugia back out. All I have is Lugia and the Steelix. I went for Aeroblast. He goes for Ice Punch. I know who's going to win this matchup. This is just kind of sucky. Fortunately, this is a Stally Lugia. I go for Roost because I figured not only will I get health back, but Ice Punch will do a lot less damage on a Roost turn due to the fact that I'm not Flying type. My only real worry is that I'll get frozen, which can happen. So he goes for Rain Dance to make himself faster, which is like, okay, whatever. So then he goes for Waterfall. He's obviously hoping to flinch me. I get off a critical with Aeroblast, so that was nice. Whenever you see Lugia do Aeroblast, I think of Super Smash Brothers. I think it was Brawl in which he did that. So he goes for Ice Punch. It's clear I need to take this thing out quickly. Unfortunately, Aeroblast doesn't quite do it there, but I think I can live another Ice Punch, and then I'll start roosting again. You know, no big deal. So he gets off the second Ice Punch. Well, that's like the fifth Ice Punch. I'm going for Roost. It's obvious he's just going to continue to go for Ice Punch. It probably would have been smarter, you know, but for him to use a different move. But since he's faster, I had to just continually do that. I went for Aeroblast there. So now I can go for Roost before he does Ice Punch, which will protect me from the damage there. Because, you know, basically with him being faster than me because of Rain Dance, it was doing more damage because it was coming off before the Roost. So that was really dangerous. I really had to wait out the rain there. So I finally get rid of the Swampert. Unfortunately, he has 3 more Pokemon, so he sends Jolteon on. I know this thing's got a Life Orb. I know it's super dangerous, so I send in the Steelix, and I'm like, well, here comes Thunderbolt, right? There it goes. Yeah, Thunderbolt. I'm like, is he going to stay in? I mean, I'm burned. I'm like wondering, you know, he swaps over to Mothim because of course he did. I figured he would. I went for Rock Slide instead of Earthquake because I figured he'd swap into Mothim, and then I fucking missed. Can you believe it? So he gets a Hidden Power off with the damage that did. It was probably Hidden Power Fire. I get a Rock Slide off the second time around. That's going to kill Mothim. So all I have to worry about is Jolteon and one other Pokemon, but I'm just severely hampered here. My Lugia is pretty unstoppable, but Steelix is not. Sceptile comes in and uses a Hidden Power. I don't know which it is. I know there's absolutely no way this is a Mega Sceptile because he would have brought it out, you know, like way earlier. So that's probably Hidden Power Ice based on the damage it's doing. I decided to start roosting just to see if I can maybe figure it out. But he's faster, so that's not going to help me out there because my roosts are coming out after. I go for Aeroblast. That's going to take him down quite a lot. I figure I can take another Hidden Power, and then as long as I don't miss this last Aeroblast, I can win this matchup. But then Jolteon's going to come in and kill me, so it's kind of like, I don't know if I can make this happen. So he goes for another Hidden Power. I went for Aeroblast. That is going to take the Sceptile down. So it comes down to Lugia versus Jolteon. I don't think I can win this. Even Zane saying, oh, just accept defeat. You know, I don't have to be like quitting or nothing. I always like to try to play them to the end. So that was a really great battle. So here's another person you've seen before. This is Frost4211. He's coming out with Lycanroc. It's the normal Lycanroc form, and I have Dugtrio. So he goes for Drill Run immediately, and that's just, yeah, that sucks. So I had went for Stealth Rocks because I figured, you know, that's all I'm going to be able to do, and I decide to send in Yanmega. He goes for Drill Run again, which is about what I expected. That's not going to do anything. Then he goes for Fire Fang, which is like shit. He has Fire Fang. That's going to take me down to half my health. Thankfully, I'm going to get a lot of health back from Giga Drain, but it's not quite enough to take Lycanroc down. Thankfully, I get a speed boost there, and it's not enough to make me faster because he's got Accelerock, so boom, that's done. I was really hoping to get the speed boost and then take him out with another Giga Drain, but, you know, Accelerock. So Zygarde comes out in its 50% form. I send Dugtrio back out. So then I decided to double swap into Primarina because I figured he might do Outrage or something. He actually went for Iron Tail, which that's actually interesting. That's neutral. So then he goes into Blacephalon, and I'm like, what are you doing? So that's going to take the Moonblast, but I don't know exactly what he's planning with Blacephalon. I decided to just stick... Oh, I think I'm choiced into Moonblast, actually. He goes for the Z-Power. It's Z-Will-O-Wisp. So Z-Will-O-Wisp, of course, not only burns, but also raises your attack. But that's just like a weird thing to do. The next Moonblast is going to take the Blacephalon down. Like, what a waste of an Ultra Beast. I don't know what that was, man. What a waste of a Z move. So Jirachi comes in, one of my favorite... Actually, it is my favorite mythical Pokemon. I decided to swap over to Houndoom. It's a pretty hard counter to a Jirachi. Ironhead's not going to do much there. So I'm not expecting him to stay in here. I decided to Mega Evolve right into Mega Houndoom and went for Nasty Plot because I figured he's going to swap, but look, he didn't swap. He went for Body Slam instead. So I'm like, oh, unfortunately, I get paralyzed. What is life even? So he's going to continually use Iron Head, and now he can flinch me because I'm slower than him because of Paralyzed. So, like I said, Houndoom is a great hard counter to Jirachi, but wow. He did a lot of damage before I got that Fire Blast off and finally got rid of him. So Zygarde comes back in. There's absolutely nothing Houndoom can do here, so I decided to just take whatever he throws at me. He does have 1,000 Arrows, which is Zygarde without 1,000 Arrows would be kind of weird. So I sent Primarina in just to get off the Moonblast. Unfortunately, it's just a little shy of taking him out. 1,000 Arrows doesn't quite take me out, so I know I'm going to get another Moonblast off. Except he goes into his Power Construct and goes into the complete form, Optimus Prime there. He sends in Jolteon. That's going to take my second Moonblast. I get a critical, which was nice, and a special attack drop, which is really great because Jolteon has really high special attack. So I know what's coming, so I decide to swap into Dugtrio. He goes for Volt Switch, so that's not going to work. He's not going anywhere. So I Sucker Punch because I figured he was going to do something. And I figured he would stay in, so that's going to take the Jolteon down. So Zygarde comes back in. Megatron comes back in. I go for Earthquake. It's not quite enough. I thought it might be. He went for Iron Tail. Can you believe it? So that's obviously going to miss there. I get off the Earthquake. Dugtrio is going to go down to the Life Orb, but what an amazing job he did. So he only has one Pokemon left. I have Primarina, one other Pokemon, and I have my Alolan Muck. His last Pokemon is Bennett, which I figured is probably a Mega, so it goes into the Tim Burton's Wet Dream form and goes for Knockoff to get rid of my Choice Band. Probably thought that I was like running like a Black Sludge or something, so a combination of Knockoff and Shadow Sneak is going to take the Mega Bennett down, and that is game. So here's another one versus Frost. Here I start off with Jumpluff, just greatest start ever, 2018. Landorus is his choice there, and then he goes out to Bug Type God. I went for Toxic there. So I Toxic poisoned the God of Bugs. So I decided to hide behind a substitute. He goes for Stone Miss. Of course it hits, fades my sub, so that's kind of like whatever. But here's the thing. I'm going to let the Toxic rack up by continually using Substitute because he's going to just keep using Stone Miss. It would normally do a lot more than 25% damage. I'm getting a little back from my leftovers. And there's, of course, the thing that Stone Miss will occasionally miss. So he actually decides to switch to X-Scissor there because he knows he really can't afford a miss here. The Toxic is really going to start to rack up here. I go for another Substitute. And he goes for X-Scissor again. So that's kind of whatever. Now, I have just enough health to go for one last Substitute here and Toxic Stall out God. So he goes for X-Scissor. Jumpluff just bodied God, you guys. I mean, kind of a scummy, stally sort of way, but there you go. So there we go. So Palisand comes out. I went for Seed Bomb just to do some damage before I absolutely die. And he went for Toxic, and I'm like, that's a weird choice because with my leftovers, I get another turn. So he went for Protect, which he absolutely had to. There's no reason not to go for it. I had gone for Toxic, and I'm not going to survive it. Oh, I am going to survive the Toxic again. So can you believe it? So he decides to swap it to Fortress. I'm obviously not going to be able to poison the Fortress because it is a Steel type. So, hey, he learned there. So Jumpluff finally goes down, but what an amazing job he did. So I sent in Raticate. This is a Guts Raticate with Flame Wheel. It's not a Guts Raticate, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different game. So, it is a Guts Raticate, yeah, because I have the Flame Orb. So, Then I go for Facade. I know he's going to resist it, but I thought he might swap out because I had a fire-type move. He's just setting up entry hazards at this point, which is, that's fair. I do have a reputation for swapping a lot. The next Flame Wheel is going to completely body him, so there you go. So, he's got his own Palisand, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he's scoping me out with Protect, just trying to see what I'm going to do. I'd actually gone for Sucker Punch, which would do really good against Palisand with Guts. So that kind of lets him know what I'm up to. Then he goes to Landorus because I guess he figured I would go for Sucker Punch again, which I did. And so he got a free swap in there. I go for Facade versus Landorus. Facade with Guts and with the burn is just a lot of damage, but not quite enough to take the Landorus down. So then I get a Sucker Punch off there to kill Landorus. So, I have killed a Legendary and God with Jump, Luff, and Raticate. So Lycanroc comes into Accelerock my rat out of there. So Sayonara. So this is, which form of Lycanroc is this? This is the normal form, right? I don't know. So he swapped to Milotic. He swaps to Palisand, which is going to take the Scald, and that's going to activate his Water Compaction ability. But he doesn't have enough, life left for that to matter. Another Scald's easily going to take him out. I did go for Scald the second time around, but he's going to Protect. So, I see what he's doing there. He's hoping to get just enough health back where he can survive, except I went for Ice Beam that time, and that's easily going to take him down. So, Palisand didn't really stand a chance against Milotic. That's a matchup that's hard to win. So, Cobalion comes in. I have my own Landorus. This is Landorus Therian form. That's going to intimidate the Cobalion right away. He's going to go for Iron Head. It does like a dick hair damage. That's no big deal. But, it wasn't a dick hair. It was like several dick hairs. So, he's going to set up a Swords Dance, which is fine. I go for Superpower. It's going to take off a little more than half his health. That's, of course, going to drop my attack and my defense. I'm not completely certain that I can do it with another Superpower, especially since Iron Head did a lot more damage now. So I swapped over to Earthquake. That is enough to take down Cobalion. So, hey, not bad, right? So I have a pretty good shot here, huh? His last Pokemon is it's the normal Lycanroc. I know he's going to Accelerock me out of there. That's no big deal, but I have several options. I have 2 Pokemon he hasn't even seen, and I still have my Milotic. So this is, it's obvious how this is going to go. He goes for Accelerock because it's his really only option there. I go for Scald because obviously I do, and that's game. So there you go. So this next one is versus Carlos 45 Danny. I don't know, some of these names are kind of weird. He actually has a Jirachi lead, which is just great. And I have Rampardos, and this is Jirachi with an Air Balloon. I decide to swap over to Ho-Oh because that's the Pokemon that has the best chance there. He went for Iron Head, which is what I figured. Rampardos would not have liked that. Ho-Oh is, of course, going to take that a lot better. He decides to U-turn the hell out of there because it's obvious that I'm going to use Sacred Fire. And he sends in Tapu Fini, which sets up the Misty Terrain. The Sacred Fire is not going to do a lot of damage to Tapu Fini. And unfortunately, I don't get the burn. I'm not even sure that I can burn it during Misty Terrain. So I went for Toxic because I forget which terrain does what. Obviously, that's not going to work. He goes for Ice Beam. That's neutral damage, and Ho-Oh has pretty good special defense. So I decided to just continually go for Sacred Fire. Either I'm going to burn it eventually, or he's not going to be able to do much, and we'll just wait out the Misty Terrain, and eventually I'll be able to burn this thing, because I always forget which one does what. And Sacred Fire is the best thing Ho-Oh has to do here, and I don't have anything that wants to swap into this, especially since now he's setting up. So now I'm just like, each swap would be just like an extra turn that he can set up. So his special defense is getting pretty high, so I decided to go for a physical move. Brave Bird doesn't quite take him out. He goes for Surf, so it's like we both decided to go loud on that turn. Unfortunately, he came out on top there, so that just kind of sucks. So I send in Alakazam, and you're probably thinking, why would you send in Alakazam? I Mega Evolve, I'm going to trace his Misty Surge and get the Misty Terrain back up, and then go for Psyshock. That's actually going to help me out there. So that's why I brought the Mega Alakazam in, because of the traceability. So then he sends in Kricketune, and I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. I don't want to get hit by Bug Buzz or X-Scissor. He actually went for Leech Life. That's not going to do much to Rampardos. Then he sets up Sticky Webs, which is just like, my least favorite entry hazard. So I went for Rock Polish here, because I figured he would swap. He doesn't want to stand in that. He goes for Jirachi. I went for Rock Slide. The Jirachi takes that, not that badly, and I get the Air Balloon Pop. I went for Crunch, and that's going to take the Jirachi down. Jirachi would have been a threat had I not gotten my speed up, he would have ironed, any kind of steel move would have taken Rampardos down at that point. So he brings in Chimecho, and I'm like, did you not just see me use Crunch? Chimecho goes down. Chimecho doesn't stand a chance against Crunch. So then he has Kyurem in its normal form. It's going to exert pressure because whatever. Rock Slide, Bop Boop Beep, he's done. I'm actually surprised that it one-shotted Kyurem. That was pretty awesome. It's like, I know Rampardos has good attack, but holy shit, Kricketune going to come in for the Rock Slide. So I'm thinking he really doesn't have anything for Rampardos. His last Pokemon is Zapdos, so that pretty much confirms it. The Rock Slide's going to body him, and that is game. So almost a sweep there with Rampardos. So this next one is versus Kara Iman. And she starts off with a Tapu Koko, and I start off with Raticate. So another Ultra Beast versus this crappy ass rat. So I decide to protect to get my my Flame Orb going. He went for U-turn. I'm like, why are you going for U-turn? So my Flame Orb activates. He goes for U-turn again. I know he's going to swap into something else. It actually turns out to be Sableye, probably thinking that I'm going for Facade, which is what I did. So that's actually pretty smart because Sableye is a safe swap. So he's going to Mega Evolve into the Gem Hoarder there. I'm going to U-turn out of there because I don't really have much for Sableye, and I decide to put Xerneas in. Xerneas is just looking majestic AF. So he sets up a Calm Mind. Sableye is very bulky in defense, but not in special defense. And thankfully, he didn't get off many Calm Minds, and the Moonblast was able to take him out. So when comes Tapu Koko, I decide to swap back to Raticate because for whatever reason, he didn't want to deal with Raticate as Tapu Koko. So Raticate takes the Nature's Madness, which is kind of whatever, and then he gets off a Dazzling Gleam to take off the Raticate. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what was even the point of swapping out earlier? So I have Kartana. I sent in Kartana. He has Sigilif, so it's just the Ultra Beasts are everywhere. I figured he would swap, so I went for Swords Dance. Sigilif is, of course, going to get burned. I went for Knockoff because I'm just like, hell no. We won't go, and that is going to completely body Sigilif. It doesn't have much physical defense to begin with. So then Victini comes out, and I'm like, crap, we got to kill it quickly. Knockoff, thankfully, I'm getting the Beast Boosts off, and I had a Swords Dance off, so Kartana is in sweeping position here. I really didn't want to get hit by V-Create. So then Weavile comes in. Weavile is a problem. He goes for Knockoff, and, all right, so you got rid of my Life Orb. That's fine. I went for Sacred Sword. Bapu Beepy's done. Weavile is double weak to fighting. And my one more turn and my speed will be absolutely maxed out. Noctowl comes in. Knockoff. No problem. He's done. Not my speed, my attack. I'm sorry. So attack is maxed, and he only has one Pokemon left. It is Tapu Koko. That's going to get the Electric Terrain back up. He outspeeds me and goes for Wild Charge, which is not the move I would have went for. Knockoff is going to kill the Tapu Koko. So, yeah, we kind of got a Kartana sweep there. Really great there. So this next battle, this is the last one actually, is versus Stoned Cold P. Sounds kind of gross. I don't know. So I have a Manectric lead here, and he has a Swalot lead, just Gen 3 here. So I decide to bring out a Alolan Sandslash for this, because it is a Steel type, and I was worried about like Sludge Wave or something. He goes for Yawn, which is interesting. So I get off an Iron Head. It actually critical hits him. He went for Yawn again. I don't think he realizes how Yawn works. So I went to sleep from the previous Yawn, and I decided to swap over to Licky Licky, because if he keeps going for Yawn, it's not going to work. He actually went for Pain Split there, which is way too early to do that. That was just a really weird thing to do. He didn't get much back there. So now he's going for Sludge Bomb. So I go for Knockoff. It's going to get rid of his Focus Sash. I'm like, oh god, Randomizer, what are you doing? Focus Sash on a Swalot. So he goes for another Sludge Bomb. He's definitely wearing Licky Licky down. I go for Body Slam that time. It's like, okay, this is a matchup that I think I have like a 50-50% chance of winning this matchup here. But I have Wish. So I go for Wish. That's obviously going to let the Licky Licky sting around a little longer. He goes for Ice Beam, presumably to try to freeze me, or maybe he just hoped it would do more damage. The next Body Slam is going to take him down to 7% health. I get a lot of health back from the leftovers and the Wish. And then he goes for Pain Split, which is, as you do. So I went for another Wish, and I'm just like, oh, we could be here for a while. Let's just speed this up a little, actually. So it's just going to be Body Slam, Sludge Bomb, Wish, this and that. Pain Split occasionally. There he goes, Pain Split. So it's like kind of like one of us is going to get a critical, and eventually this will end, because this is just stupid at this point. So he finally gets paralyzed. This is where I know that I got this. He still gets off another pain split. I'm going to get most of my health back here from Wish. And the body slam is going to take him out. So, wow, boy, it took a long time to get rid of that stupid Swallow. Like, what a dick. So, Mean Shao comes out. I absolutely know this is the death of me, so I decided to swap into Slow King, because I figure Slow King can take one of their fighting move they had. I actually went for Fake Out, which is interesting. So, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Now I figured they would swap, but they actually have Knockoff, which is really super effective on Slow King. It's going to get rid of my leftovers. Unfortunately, I had gone for Nasty Plot, so at this point, I know my Slow King is doomed. There's nothing he can do, so I decided to let him out, let him go, and just get a little more orb damage on Mean Shao. So I sent in Simisear, who's going to do the Focus Miss. Thankfully, it hits. Unfortunately, it's not enough damage to take out Mean Shao. They went for Knockoff. It's going to get rid of my leftovers. I know I really, if I don't kill it with Drasnot, which is what I went for, he's going to go down to his life orb anyway, so there you go. So then he sends in Trump Shoes, and I'm like, oh, fuck this thing. I hate this thing. Focus Miss misses because that's what it's called, and that's what it does. He gets off the Earthquake, and then it's going to kill Simisear. So, you know, Trump Shoes can be a real just pain in the keister. One of the best early normal types, you know, like up there with Linoon. Not as good as Linoon, though. So Licky Licky comes in. I'm going to knock off. He's got a choice band. Why do you have a choice band? That's so weird. So he's sticking with Earthquake, even though he's no longer choiced. Well, he was choiced into it there, but now he's no longer choiced into it. It seems like a weird choice because Gumshoes, you want him to have options. So he went for Return there, which is better than our Earthquake against Licky Licky. I'm going to get off another Body Slam. That's going to impeach Trump there, and he's done. So this is one of those battles where I'm technically ahead, but I feel like I'm working so hard that I feel like I'm not ahead. So Magnezone comes out and is going to get the Thunderbolt off. I actually lived it. I clicked Knockoff just figuring I was going to die here. That's going to get rid of his Choice Scarf, which means that I'm probably going to outspeed it, not with Licky Licky, but with a comparable Pokemon. So Thunderbolt's going to take him down. I didn't know that it had a Choice Scarf, so that's good. So I bring in Manectric, who's definitely faster, especially with Mega Manectric coming out and intimidating the Magnezone. I have Overheat that's absolutely going to just body him. Obviously, my special attack drops drastically there, but Magnezone can be a real threat. So out comes Ho-Oh, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's Volt Switch the hell out of here. It's not going to do a lot of damage because of the Overheat drop, but at least I can get out of there. It does some damage, and I send out Huntail. I actually figured that he was going to do Sacred Fire. He went for Earthquake, so it's like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. So he goes for Brave Bird the second time around. It does a lot of damage, but I'm not like super concerned with it. I do get off the Shell Smash with the Wide Orb, which means that I will outspeed him on the next turn, so I can get a really powerful shot off against this Ho-Oh, and hopefully one-shot it. I went for Waterfall. That's going to easily take Ho-Oh down. Bop, boop, beep. He's done. So the last Pokemon's Tapu Bulu is going to set up the grassy terrain, which is not really a big deal. Ice Beam super effective, and my special attack was really high, and that's game. So I hope this sounded good, guys. This is the first video that I'm ever recording with a new microphone that Payton so graciously bought for me. I might have to adjust the settings. I don't know what this is going to sound like. It seems like it records at a lower volume, but then when I played it back for my test, it was okay. I don't know. Give me some feedback on the microphone. I'll see you guys real soon with more great content.